Hello there. I'm Dr. Linzi Kemp, and I'm Professor of Management here at the American University of Khaimah, and I'm also the Graduate Programs Director for the School of Business. We have Lisa Bardill Moscaritolo, who is Executive Director of the Student Experience for Student Life in the Office of Student Affairs at the American University of Sharjah. Dr. Moscaritolo joined that university in 2019. Previous to that, she was Dean for Students at Pace University, New York State. It's great to meet with you, Lisa. So, over to you really about this interesting theme of turning points.
Yes, thank you so much for having me here. I would say that there are quite a few turning points in my life. One of them I think that I have to give a little context to.
Please.
Was when I met my husband late in life. And I was working in the United States, and I was in Florida at that point, and I was just accepting where I was. I wasn't really ready to move on. I was in my comfort zone. And then I met someone that kind of moved me out of my comfort zone for personal reasons, but it's also furthered me professionally. So I ended up taking a job later on outside of the state of Florida, which was really a turning point because I was there for about 20 years, and I never saw myself really leaving. But however, there was less opportunity there. And I wasn't seeing any growth or even any financial growth or any other professional growth. So I found through that experience, I wanted to we were commuting at first. So then I found a position in New York, and that allowed me to take on a upper level role, senior role, leadership position. And in that position, it was in student affairs. And I was able to grow throughout my 12 years there. And through that experience, I was also able to, besides moving up in 2 different positions or titles or accomplishments, I was able to accomplish quite a bit during that time. And also professionally, it allowed me to get more engaged because our institution was interested in international, how we focus globally in our work. And so I was able to help created a new organization called International Association of Student Affairs and Student Services. And so we founded that in 2009, and I'm Secretary General. So we're having our 10-year anniversary, but really connecting with colleagues that do my work around the world. And so that was very impactful for me.
Okay, and that jolt, as you call it, that trigger, remind us what that actually was.
Yes, so I think that's a good point. So I think it gave me the confidence, I think, to look outside of Florida and to find a new position that I could move up into. Also with the idea that I wanted to be near my husband.
Yeah, sure.
And I wanted to start our life together. And he too was moving to a new state, and so it was a new opportunity for us together. And professionally, it ended up being very pivotal for both of us. But it gave me, I think, the confidence. It allowed me to be challenged. It allowed me to meet a new network of people. And I think through those experiences that I had at the university also led me to look at being here, moving here, because of my international work.
Right, okay, so you got from the USA to the UAE because of the experience of international travel in the first place.
Yes, and studying, and comparatively, I was doing some research too around our work in different parts of the world. And it made me interested, well, why am I not doing this? Why am I not going abroad?
So you turned the research, which is sort of looking at other things, into a personal experience as well, by the sound of it.
Absolutely.
Yes, yeah. So look, going back again when you said about the 20 years in one state,
Yeah.
what caused you to do you think, to stay in that state for so long?
Yes. Well, I think, one of them might be because I had a network and I felt like that was the people and my mentors and my coaches, or the people that were there for me at the time. I wasn't sure I was ready to leave that comfort. So I think that kept me there. And then also personally, I started getting more engaged in the community and more involved in community events too that have interested me. So that kind of, I think, what made me somewhat stay. And then I actually bought property too. I invested in some property where I was right at the same time I met my husband. But I was only in there for 6 months and then I was gone.
And isn't it interesting? Because
Yes.
that's what we're finding from
Yes.
our research, is that this personal and professional life, how it melds together, even though you haven't actually planned it.
Right.
But there is a big emphasis on you're supposed to plan a career. So let me ask you a question.
Sure.
How far do you think your career planning has actually turned out?
Wow, that's great. So I think my plan up to my doctorate came out.
Mm-hmm.
I was very clear when I finished my bachelor's and went on for my master's that 5 years later I was going to start a doctorate, because I knew that's what I wanted to do. So that was about up to my planning.
Mm-hmm.
After I got my doctorate, I'm not so sure after that. It just happened.
Yeah.
Doors opened, things happened. Even in the state of Florida, it happened a little. But I was still stuck, until I made that next move to leave and get that next position, because universities, there's only one position of mine, of what I do at every university. So if I wanted to move up, I did need to.
Ah, now that's interesting. So so it was the hierarchy, if you like, was going like this, whereas by the sound of it, you needed to go sidewards
Yes.
in order to get the position that you needed.
Yes,
Yeah.
to move up.
Yeah. And
So but that's a good question about planning. I mean, I'm thinking, I am a planner by nature, so I can't absolutely say that I don't plan, but I think up to a certain point, you get comfortable on where you are. And so sometimes you do need things that help you to think differently. Yeah.
the external force.
Correct.
That in, sort of some of the previous interviews we've done, we found an
Okay.
external force. And there's also the intrinsic motivation that you have to take the opportunity,
That's true.
which from the sound of it is exactly what happened with your situation.
Absolutely, because the external force, of course, was my husband wanting to be near him, and he had a good career where he was. And then the intrinsic motivation was also that I was moving up in my career, and I was taking a position with much more responsibility and opportunity that I didn't even know until I got in it. So that's where you don't plan. So then you get in it, and then things just come along.
Absolutely, and that glorious realization that it has just come about. And let's go back to the planning thing,
Sure.
which is very important, as you said. And you'd also mentioned about being in the state of Florida, that you've got a network,
Yes.
you've got a foundation from where you could then fly, if you like, from
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which I-
And I do think I think at the time, maybe it was my narrow-mindedness, I didn't realize those things would stay with you. And of course they do, but I didn't think about that at the time because I was pretty comfortable. So I do think the mentors, and then my network just grew when you leave and you have new opportunities.
And you have obviously been a person who's opened yourself up to those opportunities rather than closing yourself down.
Absolutely. I think that that's very important. I think that when you get an opportunity, I don't think I hardly say no often. I pretty much say, yes, I'd like to take that on, even if it's a challenge and something I don't feel as comfortable with. In my experiences, I have taken that challenge and then I've grown from it, and it's just been amazing, but at the time it was sometimes difficult.
Of course.
But you have to be open to.
Yes, to take those opportunities. Thank you so much, Dr. Lisa. That was really interesting and a very significant turning point as well. Thank you.
Thank you.